Hey everyone, back tuning into today's video. Got a lot to get on with today, doing the next week to 10 days, have a look at that. Also got some charts from the BCC Climate Centre going out for the month ahead, and that takes us to the start of January. The month ahead updates from the BCC Climate Centre are updated about every 5 or 6 days, so it's always worth going off there and seeing what they're showing. But it's a little bit difficult actually now to track down the charts for the month ahead period. So I've had a look anyway, and quite interesting charts actually as we move through December, so I'll have a look at that at the end of the video. But before I get on with the video, just say about the ads. There's links to articles sitting underneath the weather video here on my homepage at gazweathervids.com. Have a browse through widget, and if there's any articles that you're interested in, just click through. There's green keyword ads on some of the pages. If you right cursor over green keywords, they'll display ads, but if you click through the word, go to advertise website, be supporting gazweathervids.com by doing that. And there's an ad down there, discuss comment box. They're contextual, they're mainly weather related, so if there's anything there that you're interested in, to click through. And Gav Shop, it's open, so if you've got any Christmas shopping to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, just go through the Amazon banner in Gav Shop. That's the key to getting that one to work. Go through the Amazon banner in Gav Shop and take you off to Amazon, but you just do Christmas shopping as normal, don't need to do anything else. But because you've clicked through from Gav's Vids to Amazon, we get a revenue fee on the things that you are purchasing. And thanks very much for getting involved. Thanks for doing that. These things are essentially paying for the website, allowing me to sit here and talk to you via the website. So thanks for doing that. Right, let's start off with 500 bit of our high anomaly flow charts for the next week to 10 days. This will be taking us to the 7th of December, so up to the end of the first week of December. And we've got the E70 you have, of course, over on the left of the screen. As you're looking at it, the GFS is on the right. 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure and low pressure are essentially being moved around by the jet stream. This is mainly what weather is, essentially the movement of air via the jet stream. So orange is extrapolating to high pressure, blue to low pressure. And we see that on both the E70F and the GFS, we've got big area of above average heights over British Isles and extending out into the Atlantic as well. So that's the area of high pressure going through the Atlantic into the British Isles, and then just extending in towards some central parts of Europe as well. That's the E70F. The GFS is in agreement with that, so they're both in agreement that the first week of December is going to have a lot of fine weather, actually, a lot of settled weather under anticyclonic conditions. Now, the jet stream is running above that high pressure where we've got these tight lines. So we are more or less on the mild side of the jet with this. So it depends how centrally located we can get this high pressure, whether we're going to get it colder than high pressure or whether it's going to stay relatively mild. I did a video on Tuesday saying that I thought we're probably going to have quite a cold start to December underneath that area of high pressure, but because the jet stream is quite strong, just running to the north, the absolute position of that high pressure is going to be key. But I think generally we're still in for quite a coldish week next week, with potentially quite a bit of frost and fog, but it'll be more likely down across England and Wales. Interestingly, Scotland and Northern Ireland will be at risk of having that jet stream running in, bringing milder air in off the Atlantic. But it's very subtle, and we could end up with quite a lot of frost and fog next week, or we could end up with a fairly mildish week. We're going to have to wait and see how it plays out. Now, we can see on the 500 millibar, on the 850 temperature and precipitation ensembles, that we've got milder than average conditions coming up over the weekend. We're really pushing up with those temperature lines. As we go into the start of December, and this is the 1st of December just here, Monday, we're finding the temperatures sliding down. That's going to bring a cold front down across the country. That's going to bring a band of rain, but it will lower the temperatures. And then behind that cold front, we're building in the high pressure again. You can see with the precipitation spike that there's very few precipitation spikes showing up here. Certainly through the first week of December. This is the 8th of December just here. And by then the rainfall spikes are coming back a little bit, although still not with a tremendous amount of conviction, to be honest. So certainly the next week, 10 days, going to be a lot of dry weather, I think. And it's going to turn cooler underneath that high pressure. It builds in again next week with this drop in the temperatures. Now, it's where we get that high pressure right over the top of the country, and if we do, it'll be really quite cold, I think, under that, because the temperatures are dropping to start next week, so it could turn really cold under high pressure with a lot of frost and fog, or we could bring mild gunk around the top. It just depends on the exact position. So let's have a look at the generic charts. It's the GFS for next week, Tuesday. We're bringing that cold front down Monday into Tuesday. It's just clearing the south coast actually midnight Tuesday, 6 o'clock Tuesday morning, from midnight into 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. That cold is just clearing away, bring down this cooler northwesterly flow, and there's the high pressure again starting to push in from the Atlantic as we go through 24 hours into Wednesday the 3rd. That high pressure is pushing through, but notice around the top we're bringing in this westerly flow across Scotland, so that's bringing milder air back into Scotland, whilst England and Wales, probably under the high pressure, actually stays relatively cool. The air there stays relatively cool, but the mildest air is probably up in the north. As we go through to Thursday, the high pressure is dominating across England and Wales, but Scotland's still getting these westerly winds, so cloudy and relatively mild for Scotland through the middle stages of next week. Whereas for England and Wales, under that high pressure there, I think it could be really quite frosty and foggy. Could be looking at fairly hard frost actually, certainly moderate frost with that one, and maybe some fog as well. But it isn't that far away from introducing this milder air from the north and the west. So that's why I'm just a little bit dubious about exactly what's happening next week. It's a very, very subtle pattern, this, between having it frosty and foggy or cloudy and relatively mild. As we go through to Friday, very little change. The high pressure is still around the country, still bringing the mild air around the top across Scotland, and how much of that is infiltrating down into that high pressure is difficult to say. But whatever happens, I think we're going to have a lot of dry weather next week, so we're not got to worry about heavy bouts of rain coming through. We go through to day 10, so the 7th of December, and then the high pressure showing signs of pulling out into the Atlantic, turning more unsettled again from the north and west, bringing a proper band of rain down across the country, and not particularly cold with that either. The East NWF, very similar, the high pressure bridging through the south into the middle of next week, whilst the north remains milder and more unsettled. We go through to Thursday, the 4th of December, north-south split. The mildest, cloudiest, dullest weather will be in the north. The driest and potentially coldest weather is down in the south, with the risk of frost and fog. But has that mild air from the north invaded down into the south? That is the question that we can't yet answer. We go through to Friday the 5th, still with high pressure dominating, moving more towards the east. That could be potentially pulling in some really quite cold air off the continent, particularly across England and Wales. And then we move through to day 10, which is Sunday the 7th of December. And that high pressure event, again, similar to the GFS, is showing signs of pulling back into the Atlantic a little bit. It's definitely allowing milder air to come around the top, down across the country, probably bringing a band of cloud and rain as it does so. Moving through to the GM, always a little bit different on the Canadian model, but here's the high pressure for Thursday next week, 34th, dominate across many parts of the country. This is more central, I think, with the high pressure, so even Scotland is a little bit more under anticyclonic conditions with that. We go through to Friday the 5th, and probably bring a band of rain into the north and the west, but still most of the country under high pressure, which could be getting frost and fog. And then we get through to day 10, as I say, always a little bit different with the GM, and it has the high pressure is quite a strong central Atlantic ridge, and bringing fairly cold air around the northern eastern side of it, down from the north across England and Wales. That could be cold enough to produce a few wintry showers for Scotland. But you just get the impression, I hope I'm getting this okay, but I'm a little bit dubious about what's happening next week. It's a very, very fine line on this pattern between having a relatively mild and cloudy sort of dry week with not a lot going on, or having it quite cold, certainly at night, with frost and fog. And of course, with the fog lingering into today, daytime temperature could be quite cold as well. And that's really for England and Wales. For Scotland, I think we're looking at a relatively mild week, cloudy and quite mild up there. But for England and Wales, I'm just not sure whether we're on, because we're on a knife edge, I'm just not sure whether it's frost and fog we're looking at for England and Wales next week, or cloudy and mild. I will keep you posted on it through the next few days. So just before I go, have a quick look at the Beijing Climate Centre 500 millimeter height anomaly charts for the coming month, and these are broken down into 10-day periods. The first 10-day period takes us from the 26th of November through to the 5th of December. Blue again extrapolating to low pressure, orange extrapolating to high pressure, and we see that what the model's trying to do during the coming 10 days is to produce quite a deep ridge up to the northeast of the country, quite a strong ridge up there, and we've got this trough out in the west in the Atlantic. So what we're seeing with that is basically a bit of a battle going on between southeasterly or easterly winds to the northeast and westerly winds coming in off the Atlantic. It's relatively mild with that as well. As we move through to the second 10-day period, which takes us from the 6th to the 15th of December, we find the trough starting to become cut off down to the south of the country, pressure rising up to the northeast as well. Again, it's still relatively mild and most unsettled down in the southwest. As we get through to the next 10-day period, this takes us from the 16th to the 25th, and this is where it starts getting interesting really. Notice that the heights are going up across Greenland. The orange colours are appearing across Greenland there. The low pressure is becoming more centred down to the south of the country. The high pressure to the northeast is receding back towards Russia. So it implies that heights over Scandinavia are pushing back to Russia, but heights are rising up over Greenland around here, and that could be starting to push colder air down into this trough. So maybe turning colder as we get into the second half of December. And then finally, the final 10-day period taking us from the 26th of December, Boxing Day, through to the 4th of January, finds the trough more or less over the country, a little bit centred to the south, but lots of ridging there by that time up over Greenland. We would almost certainly be bringing down cold air now into that trough. So as we get through to the end of December and the start of January, that could be turning really quite cold indeed, and there would be the potential on that sort of a setup, I think, for wintry potential across the country. So maybe a cold festive period coming up. We've been doing the Christmas look-aheads since the start of November, and they're from the CFS model. They've nearly all been universally mild, actually. And I'll do another one tonight on the events page. But this model, the Beijing Climate Centre, is certainly seeing something going on into the latter stages of December and the start of January, with those hints of blocking around Greenland, the cold trough underneath it. Yeah, I think that could bring some wintry conditions as we get through to the end of December and the start of January. So that's very interesting. We'll keep monitoring that, see how it goes. And as I say, we're doing the next Christmas update tonight on the events page. That'll be from a CFS model, so if you want to see what that's showing, come back for that. But in the more immediate time frame, we're looking at a lot of dry weather next week, I think, with a fair amount of anticyclonic influences across the country. Probably mainly mild and cloudy in the north. Could be cold and frosty in the south, but it's a subtle pattern, and we'll just have to see how it fares. It's JLA Friday tomorrow. I'll have a look at the month ahead from a Japanese model, so we'll come back for that. But that's all now. Thanks for watching.